Hello from Anfield, where we've just seen Liverpool pull off one of the more routine wins that you'll probably see in European competition this season. A 4-0 victory over LASK here, and you know, it's been a good evening for Liverpool, but it actually turned into a perfect one, and that is because Toulouse and USG in the other group game drew 0-0, and that means that Toulouse now can't catch Liverpool in terms of overhauling them as group winners. So that means Liverpool already know that they've secured passage to the knockout stage as group winners a game early. They had a chance to do that in Toulouse last time out, but obviously lost 3-2, but they got the job done in the end, and as I say, that's with the game to spare, and it's important not just for that reason, where Liverpool will be able to rest players in that final group game, but also because when you go through as group winners in this competition, it means you miss that extra knockout stage round. So that's 2 fixtures that you can scratch off the fixture list immediately, and really important for Jurgen Klopp in terms of rotating his squad through this difficult period, particularly over Christmas, and also just in general for his squad across the rest of the season, because if you're going on all fronts, as Liverpool will aim to do, then it's important to have as few fixtures as you possibly can. So real bonus for Liverpool tonight to not just win, but win and also have that result go for them in Toulouse. Now, in terms of the performance overall, I spoke to someone in the comments on one of my recent videos who said wanting more general analysis of the game, but I would say this is a really tough one to analyse, just in terms of I think Liverpool was so much better than LASK tonight. It wasn't really a close contest, it wasn't a tactical battle that was won anywhere. I just think Liverpool consistently showed over the 90 minutes that they're just on a different level to the team they were up against, and so it was, as I say, a really straightforward one. So I'm just going to go into, rather than analysing the tactics and how the game played out, just talk about how the players played. I'll start with the goalkeeper, Quaveen Kelleher. I thought at the start of the game, really, for the first 60 minutes or so, really quiet evening for him. He didn't have a lot to do, not a lot of shots to save, because Liverpool was so dominant. He had a little bit more to do in terms of the latter part of the game, because it just got a bit loose. Liverpool made a few subs, and they also took the foot off the gas a little bit, so they had a few shots that came in and rained down on Kelleher. But even in those situations, I thought he pulled off some really impressive saves, actually. So that's a good start for him, because obviously we know he's going to be in goal for a little while now with Alisson Becker injured. So I think he really impressed on the shot stopping side of things. There were also quite a few long balls that he played out from the back that were quite impressive. He really is good at picking out those passes. We know how good of a footballer he is. So really good start to what's going to be a lengthy stint in goal for him, or not too lengthy, maybe 5 matches or so till Alisson's back. But he's, you know, it's a pressure period for him, and he's really got to turn up. And I thought a really good start to that tonight against LASK. In terms of the defence, I move on to right back. It was Joe Gomez thrown in there tonight. He gets an assist, 3 interceptions. He moves to centre-half at one point in the game as well. I think I've spoken before in these videos about the fact that he's a really quality right back, but he's also a centre-half as well. Huge option for Liverpool to have in that defence, and so versatile. And I thought today he made it easy for Liverpool for so much of that game in terms of just managing things. If any little bit of threat that LASK showed, he was there to stamp it out. So another really good performance from him. Alongside him, starting in central defence, was Konate. Bit of a surprise pick, I suppose, in terms of if you manage in his minutes, but he actually only does around 60 minutes until he's taken off, which really puts him in contention for Fulham. That game against Fulham at the weekend, that's going to be an interesting decision for the manager between him and Matip, both in form, both looking strong. Who does he go for in that Premier League game? The fact that Konate's come off means it's a close one, so I'm really looking forward to seeing who comes out on top of that battle. But Konate, another impressive performance, 5 aerial battles won across the game before he's taken off, so that shows you how physically dominant and aerially dominant he was across the game, which we come to expect from him. And obviously his pacing behind cut off any chances of counters or threat from LASK in that way. So really good performance from him. Alongside him, Quansah, again, another really good night for him. He's such an exciting prospect, isn't he? He's physically so impressive. He's good on the ball. He's got all the qualities that Liverpool centre-halves have. And, you know, talking about Konate there in terms of pace and physicality, and also the quality on the ball as well. Quansah's got all that. And I thought another couple of moments where he comes in and makes last-ditch challenges where LASK look threatening towards the end of the game, when Liverpool lose a little bit of control and LASK kind of go for it. So impressive, and another really good outing for him. I hope there's going to be another opportunity for him coming down the line in this competition, because that USG game is a dead rubber and there's not a lot riding on it at all. So hopefully we see a little bit more of Quansah, and hopefully more across the rest of the season, because I think this competition has been really good from him. He's been a real sort of shining light in this competition for Liverpool. At left back, bit of a surprise pick, that's Kostas Tsimikas started because obviously Andy Robertson's injured at the moment, but didn't let anyone down. I thought he was, again, he was one of the players this level of opposition he's too good for, but I thought he was really, really impressive in everything he did. He actually has a shot that hits the bar at one point, which is, you've not really seen much massive goal threat from him, but it just shows that he's got that in his locker. He was unlucky with that one. Puts in a few great crosses and defensively looks really solid. I think Klopp was right to point out recently that his sort of confidence had changed since he gets that first assist against Brentford. I think he's been a different player since then, and that really bodes well because Andy Robertson's still out for a little while now, so Liverpool really will want Kostas Tsimikas to keep this form up because he's looking really good at the moment. Moving to midfield now and talk about Endo in that holding role. I thought arguably he's up there as maybe one of the man of the matches, maybe between him and Gakpo, I'd say. I thought he was really, really good on the ball. Some really nice movements out of tight spaces, which you maybe wouldn't have thought he was that type of player. Some really good spreads of play. His passing was really sharp through the lines. We were seeing a little bit more of him on almost the offensive side of the game than you expect than the defensive side, but he actually did a bit of both today, and I really like that balance in his game. Towards the back end of the game where there was more opportunities to put challenges in and nick the ball, he did a lot of that as well, so really, really liked his performance. He ends the game with 4 interceptions there, which shows you that he's getting about in the right areas, he's cutting passes off, so he's a really good option for Liverpool, and he's been a mainstay in this sort of Europa League side, so it shows that there has been value to his signing so far. Can he make that next step and challenge to be in the Premier League team? We'll have to see, but he's certainly been important in getting Liverpool through to the group stages to the knockout stages, with a game to spare. Really impressive again tonight. Alongside him in midfield, Harvey Elliott, I thought some really creative passes from him that you come to expect. He runs his socks off across the 90 minutes as well. Really, really impressed with his work rate. As I say, he just picks up those little pockets, always keeping teams second guessing, and he usually picks the right pass as well. He had a couple of shots at goal. He was unfortunate with a couple as well. One that tested the goalkeeper after deflection. He's unlucky that doesn't just find the back of the net, but another really good performance from him, and I thought again he's another one where this competition is important for him. It keeps him sharp for those cameos off the bench in the Premier League where he has been so impressive this season. He is still, he's pushing hard for that start. He maybe not going to get that in the Premier League at the moment, but this competition really, really good from him. Alongside him, Gravenberch, another one who's used this as a platform to get him in the Premier League side before he got that injury before the international break. And I thought, to be honest, from him, he's been really impressive in this competition so far, but I thought probably one of his not as good performances, I was going to say worse performances, but he's still performing at a high level for Liverpool, but I just didn't think he was quite there tonight. There was a looseness to him. I mean, he still ends a game with an 87.8 passing accuracy, but he's usually up in the 93, 94. He really does usually look after the ball, so maybe that looseness stood out a little bit, and he still ends up with two key passes. Still shows a couple of moments where he drops the shoulder and loses his man in midfield, so not a terrible performance by any means, but he'll come off the pitch today thinking, I can play better, and we know he can play better, so I'm sure we will see that from him in the coming weeks. That can happen. We saw Curtis Jones maybe struggled at Manchester City, not his best performance, and then Gravenberch comes on and looks really sharp, whereas Gravenberch didn't quite follow that up tonight, but you're going to get that with players when they come in. Sometimes they're not going to quite look at the best, and maybe one of those nights that Gravenberch will just want to sort of maybe forget about tonight. Not a perfect performance by any means. Mohamed Salah moving into the forward line, he gets a goal. He's on to 199 for Liverpool. I always skip over him in these videos because he's absolutely ridiculously good. He also gets an assist for the Gakpo goal. Just another brilliant performance. We're so close to that 200 mark for him for Liverpool, which is just an incredible achievement, and I think there was a bit of sort of concern about him being in the starting 11 tonight, but I think you've got to think about this in terms of, yes, you want to protect your key players and you don't want anyone picking up injuries, but if Liverpool were in the Champions League this season, they would have to use the best 11 in these midweek games. So there's a nice balance you have to strike as a manager between, yes, protecting your players at times, and that's why we see Mohamed Salah coming off early when Liverpool are cruising, but also you've got to keep them sharp as well. You see Erling Haaland is playing for Manchester City in midweek. He's staying sharp, he's getting goals. You've got to do as much of that with Mohamed Salah, even though it's the Europa League, even though you want to protect him and you can get through without him. Maybe you do need to keep these players sharp and keep them in. So I think that's the big reason why Jurgen Klopp is using some of his star men, and Mo Salah no different. And again, he comes away with a goal from the penalty spot today. Another little confidence boost going into the weekend. Doesn't get too many minutes in his leg, so hopefully not seeing any level of fatigue, and hopefully he can take that into Fulham and get his 200th goal and maybe back it up with a win as well. So we'll see how that goes, and as I say, another really, really impressive performance from him. On the other wing, Luis Diaz, he's obviously going to have to pick up quite a lot of slack with Diogo Jota being out injured. We're not sure exactly how long that's going to be, but it's going to be a real test for Diaz. He's going to have to play a lot of football, and made a good start to that tonight in terms of getting the opening goal. A really good header, and it's a hard one to take as well because there are players in front of him. It comes through a crowd, and yet he gets a really clean contact onto it, into almost the top corner. So really good goal from him. Again, everything else you'd expect from him, carrying the ball well. He's a real threat in between the lines. He's involved in creating the Gakpo goal because he cuts into a sort of central area and creates from there and spreads the ball out wide. So another really good performance from him, and he as I say, got to keep that up because no Jota at the moment, no sort of rotational option on that left hand side unless you start using Gakpo out there a little bit more. So he's going to have to pick up a lot of the slack, but we know how good he is, and we know he can do that, and we know he's got the physicality and the ability to get through those games. So it's a big period coming up for him. Now, last one is obviously in the centre forward position, Cody Gakpo, and for me, I said Endo was in contention for the man of the match, but I think for me, Cody Gakpo was the one who stood out. It's interesting that this week it was spoken about. He spoke in an interview about the fact he's in competition with Nunez and that sort of, how that plays out. You always want to impress the manager. You always want to be playing every game, and in terms of that competition, he can't really do much more than scoring his 2 goals tonight. He takes 6 shots. I thought he hits the post as well, so very close to a hat-trick. And I just thought his general creativity in terms of taking the ball in tight areas, which again we know he's really good at. I've spoken about him before as a sort of Firmino type. He showed really good creativity in those moments and an ability to shield the ball. Does he maybe still have that over Nunez in his locker? Maybe we'll see, but I think it's going to be interesting again. Over this period, I think both Nunez and Gakpo are going to get a lot of games because they're going to have to, because there's such a big work rate they've got to put in this period. There's so many games back to back that I think we're going to see plenty of Gakpo because he showed tonight that he's a really classy operator, and even though Nunez has maybe got that number 9 shirt at the moment, the Gakpo's really going to be there in competition, and you're going to need him either as a sub or as a starter over this period because it's just so many fixtures coming up that you're going to need both options. And Gakpo, it's great to have him in form, great to get him goal scoring because I think that keeps confidence up, it keeps him sharp. So whether you need him against Fulham at the weekend from the start, or if the substitute's bench, he's going to be, he's going to feel like he's flying when he's coming on the pitch because I thought he was absolutely hugely impressive, and as I say, probably my man of the match tonight. Now, talk about just a couple of subs. I just thought it was really good to see both Conor Bradley and Luke Chambers get on the pitch tonight, 2 academy graduates. Obviously, Conor Bradley coming back from that injury that he had, he was so impressive in pre-season. It was such a shame to see that sort of go against his progress that he'd been making, just picking up that injury at the wrong time. But it obviously shows that he was going to be a big part of the manager's plans this season, and I still think there are going to be opportunities for him in the Europa League. Maybe that USG game coming up, maybe he can get a start in that one. And Luke Chambers again, he started against Toulouse in this one. Big faith in him at left back, and he still again has a role to play until Andy Robertson's back as that sort of backup left back. So looking forward to seeing a lot more of them, and as I say, really good to see them both get on the pitch. So that's sort of my ratings, the way I saw the game going tonight. Please let me know in the comments who your man of the match was, how you thought this game went, and what you want to see maybe for the USG game. Do we go full rotation, all kids? That's going to be an interesting team selection on the basis of Liverpool going through as group winners already. As I say, let me know in the comments what you think, and I'm sure I will see you guys soon.